A very long time ago, way before TVs and even underpants existed, there was a good king. Now this king had a younger brother, and like all younger brothers, he wanted what the king had. In fact, one day, while the king was looking for something warm to wear under his robes, he stole his crown and sat on his throne. "Oi! Give that back," said the king. "I was sitting on that." "No way," said his brother. "Finders keepers. I'm the king now, and there's nothing you can do about it." "Wait till my sons find out," said the king. "They can't," said his brother, "because I've already had them killed. And I sent your daughter off to live in a church where they don't allow kids, so this throne is all mine." Well, that plan didn't work at all, because the daughter Rhea hated the church, so she went off and married the god Mars instead, because you could do that in those days, and they had children. Twin baby boys, actually. When the new nasty king heard about the twins, he ordered a servant to steal them in the night and throw them in the river Tiber. But the servant felt sorry for the babies, and he put them in a basket and floated them down the river in the hope that they might be rescued. As luck would have it, the basket stopped by a wolf. But not the angry, howly, dangerous kind, mind you. This was a friendly she-wolf who saw how helpless the twins were and decided to look after them. She kept them safe and fed, with the help of a kind woodpecker who would fly into the forest and bring back food. Eventually, the babies grew up to be young boys, and one day a kindly shepherd who was walking in the woods found them and decided to take them home and bring them up as his own children. They were saved! Yay! The shepherd and his wife brought the boys up to be shepherds, just like them. They named them Romulus and Remus, and watched them grow up into strong, healthy, happy young men who were very kind, even though they always smelled a bit sheepy. One day, while out shepherding, Romulus and Remus came across some other shepherds who worked for the new king. These shepherds were grazing the king's sheep in their land. "You can't graze those sheep here," said the twins. "This grass is for our sheep." "Actually," said the king's shepherds, "this land belongs to the king now, so your sheep are eating the king's grass. Clear off or we'll have you arrested." "How rude," said Remus, and started an argument, but that was a bad idea because, true to their word, they arrested him and marched him off to prison, which left Romulus with a lot of sheep poop to pick up by himself. Remus was locked up in a deep, dark dungeon, and Romulus, who was missing his brother, put together a gang of tough-looking shepherds to go on a rescue mission to save him. They managed to rescue Remus, but as they were leaving the castle, the king saw them, and a huge fight broke out, as often happened in those days. Luckily, the brothers won and even managed to kill the evil king. "You've killed our evil king," said the people of the city when they saw what had happened. "Yeah, sorry about that," said Romulus and Remus, "but he was going to kill us first, and he was evil, so." "True, true," said the people, "but now we're kingless." "Hang on, shouted somebody at the back who had a really good memory for faces. "You twins look a lot like our old king." His daughter had twins, and they were thrown in the river Tiber. "No way," said the twins. "W were thrown in the Tiber." "But we floated downstream in a basket and were raised." "By a wolf." "Oh, wow," said the villagers. "You must be the king's grandsons, then." "Yes, I suppose we must be," said Remus. "And as the king is now dead, that means you two are now our king." "Our kings?" And just like that, Romulus and Remus became joint kings. That had been a very strange afternoon, to say the least. The first thing they decided to do was rebuild the city on a hill, because everybody loves a hill. They found two really cool hills called Palatine and Aventine, but they couldn't decide which one to build their new city on. "Just look at the views from Aventine," said Remus. "Never mind the views," said Romulus. "Palatine has better rivers." "Rivers? So what?" "Aventine gets more sun. Think of the crops we can grow here. Well, Palatine gets good sun too, and there's better access for roads." Because they were brothers, and brothers hardly ever agree on anything, Romulus and Remus went their separate ways and started to build two cities instead of one. Remus built his on Aventine and Romulus chose Palatine. "This is silly," said Romulus. "One day, we can't build two cities. Let's leave it for the gods to pick which hill is best. It's what they're for after all. We'll wait for a sign from the gods." Remus reluctantly agreed, and the twins went to the valley in between their two hills to wait for a sign. Nothing happened for ages, and the brothers were getting annoyed and started arguing again. "What kind of sign are we talking about, brother?" asked Remus. "Don't ask me," said Romulus. "I suppose we'll know it when we see it. Just keep your eyes peeled for anything that looks a bit Signy." After a few very boring days filled with bickering and toilet breaks, they spotted some vultures flying overhead. "Vultures!" they both cried. "We don't see a lot of those around here. That must be the sign. At last! Finally, we agree on something," said Remus. "There were 5 vultures, one for each letter in my name, Remus, so I win." "Are you blind, brother?" said Romulus. "There were clearly 8. 8 letters in Romulus, so I win." Well, surprise, surprise, the two brothers Still couldn't agree, so they fell out again, but even worse this time. They went back to arguing, fighting and bickering, but now they were proper enemies. They would shout and tease each other across the valley. "You never were any good at maths." "It was 5, you fool." "Nope, learn to count, brother. It was definitely 8. It got so bad that Romulus built a wall around Palatine to keep his brother out. But it didn't work. Remus just jumped over it. "This wall is rubbish," said Remus, laughing at his very angry brother. "Call that a wall? A tortoise with a bad leg could get over that." Romulus got even angrier, but his brother carried on mocking him anyway. "What's it made out of, Lego?" Well, that was too much for Romulus to take, and he lost his temper completely. A huge fight broke out, as often happened in those days, and Romulus actually killed his twin brother. He regretted it immediately, of course, but it was too late. Remus was gone, and Romulus was all alone. Eventually, Romulus went back to building his city on his favorite hill, all by himself. The first thing he did was to make the wall much bigger. He named the new city after himself, calling it Rome, because it sounded way cooler, and because Romulus took up too much space on the road. "Signs? Hands? And that's how the city of Rome came to be built. It went on to become the center of the Roman Empire that conquered most of the world. And it all started because two stubborn brothers, raised by a wolf, couldn't admit that neither of them had counted the vultures at all, because, in fact, there were 6 of them. The end.